At a rain-swept bus stop in a small, rural town in Oregon, 81-year-old Robert Bob Miller came to a halt. He was a retired engineer for Union Pacific, a man used to the iron rails and strict schedules. But today, something else commanded his attention. Weaving through the legs of indifferent commuters was a shivering dog. It was a Border Collie with a coat of black and white. Her belly swollen and heavy. "Get away, you're blocking the entrance," someone shouted. Most people turned their backs on the creature, treating her like a nuisance. Bob was the only one who stopped. From the moment he scooped that dog up and carried her home, a series of miracles began that no one could have predicted. In just a single day, his life, and eventually the entire town, would change from the roots up. Looking back, it feels strange for an old man to talk about miracles, but to say my life transformed on that rainy day is no exaggeration. Having worked the railroads for over 40 years, waking up at 5 a.m. was a habit I couldn't shake. Even in retirement, that day was no different. I had gone to the market early. It was a week before Christmas, and I told my wife, Martha, that I would pick up a nice ham and some chicken for our holiday dinner. "Bob, it looks like a storm is brewing. Take an umbrella," Martha had warned me. "I'll be fine, I'll be back in a jiffy," I replied. I remember those words clearly. Looking back, I am so glad I left the house when I did. I had bought the ham and about a pound of chicken breast and was walking back toward the bus stop when the sky opened up. Huge, cold raindrops began to pound the pavement. Usually, I would have run for cover under the eaves. But that day, something felt different. Near the bus stop bench, I heard a strange sound. A low, whimpering whine. At first, I thought it was a child. But when I looked closer, I saw her. A large, soaked Border Collie was curled up beneath the bench. Her belly was impossibly round. She was clearly pregnant. Her ribs were showing through her wet fur, yet her stomach was distended. It was a painful sight. When I approached, she looked at me with guarded eyes. But she didn't try to run. That heavy belly made moving too difficult. Just then, a woman named Mrs. Higgins, known for her sharp tongue, walked by. "Oh, for heaven's sake, a stray dog? Get it away. It's probably got fleas or rabies." "Shoo!" She tried to kick out at the air to scare the dog. "Hold on now, Mrs. Higgins," I said, stepping in. "You better chase it off." "Bob," she snapped, "strays bring nothing but bad luck and bills." But to my eyes, that dog didn't look like bad luck. Her sorrowful eyes shook my soul. She reminded me of myself 40 years ago, sitting alone in the engine cab of a freight train, driving through the pre-dawn darkness, blowing the whistle in solitude. She looked exactly like that lonely version of me. "Hey, get lost." The owner of the fruit stand came out with a broom, trying to sweep the dog away. The dog curled herself tighter, and my chest tightened. Why did everyone turn their backs on a life that so clearly needed help? I looked down at the grocery bag in my hand. The chicken was meant for Martha's holiday pot pie, but this girl needed it more. Quietly, I opened the package, took out a piece of raw chicken, and placed it in front of her. She stared at me for a moment, assessing whether I was a friend or foe. Then, slowly, she lowered her head and began to eat. She must have been starving. It vanished in seconds. "You want another one?" I asked. She gave a tiny wag of her tail. That simple movement brought a smile to my face. Piece by piece, as I fed her, her wariness began to melt away. "What is that old man doing with a stray?" I heard whispers behind me. But I didn't care. My heart had been completely stolen by this small life. I couldn't leave her there, shivering in the freezing rain. "How long have you been here, girl?" I asked. She let out a soft huff through her nose, as if to say, "Forever." The rain intensified, and she began to shake violently from the cold. In that moment, I felt something sprout deep inside my chest. It was a warm feeling, like spring arriving on frozen earth. "All right, let's go home," I said. She tilted her head, as if asking, "Really?" "It's okay, Martha has a good heart. She'll understand." I gently scooped her up. She was much heavier than I expected, the weight of the unborn lives inside her. At first, her body went rigid, but gradually, she relaxed into my arms. Her warmth seeped into my coat. "By the way, what's your name?" I whispered, looking down at her. Of course, there was no answer. "Well, I have to call you something. How about Lucky, because I think you're going to bring some luck into our home." When I called her Lucky, she looked up at me. I swear I saw gratitude in those intelligent eyes. We didn't speak the same language, but hearts communicate without words. On the walk home, my mind raced. What would Martha say? Did we have the money for a dog? What if puppies were born? Strangely, I felt no anxiety. Instead, my heart was pounding with excitement. Perhaps I was happy that a change had finally come to my monotonous retired life. I felt a fierce desire to protect this life. Lucky stayed quiet in my arms, occasionally lifting her head to look around with a mix of curiosity and fear. "Don't worry, you're safe now," I whispered, and she rested her head against my shoulder. Standing in front of my front door, I remembered the tension of my first day as an engineer 40 years ago. The mix of anticipation and fear of starting something new. But this was different. I wasn't alone. With Lucky, I felt I could do anything. I turned the knob and called out in a loud voice, "Martha, I'm home." My voice had a strength it hadn't had in years. "Bob, you're back early." Martha's voice came from the living room. "Did you remember the?" She stopped dead in her tracks when she saw me. Or rather, when she saw the large Border Collie in my arms. "Bob, what on earth? Why is your voice so loud? And, is that a dog?" Martha stared, eyes wide. "A dog? Why did you bring a stray dog home? We can't afford a pet." "Bob, think of the medical bills." Her reaction was exactly what I expected. Martha suffered from severe arthritis in her wrists and knees. Between hospital visits and medications, she viewed any sudden surprise as a source of stress. "Martha, just look at her," I said, gently lowering Lucky onto the floor. Lucky, nervous in the strange house, pressed her body against my leg. Martha squinted, adjusting her glasses. "Oh my," she gasped. "Bob, that dog, she's pregnant." That was the moment Martha truly understood. "That's why I couldn't leave her," I explained. "She was shivering in the freezing rain, and folks were trying to kick her out. They called her a bad omen." As I explained, Martha's expression softened. "So, what happened to the chicken?" she asked. "I gave it to Lucky. She was starving. She ate the whole pack." Martha sighed, shaking her head, but there was no anger in it. "Well, what are we going to eat for dinner then?" "It's fine. I'll go back to the store tomorrow." I laughed. Martha still looked worried, but then, Lucky slowly walked toward her. Martha instinctively tried to step back, but Lucky sat gently at Martha's feet and lowered her head, as if bowing in greeting. "What a polite creature," Martha whispered, surprised. She bent her painful knees slightly to look closer. Lucky sat still as a statue. When Martha reached out a trembling hand to stroke her head, Lucky closed her eyes and leaned into the touch, thumping her tail against the floor. "Bob, this dog has such kind eyes," Martha said, her voice warming. "When do you think she's due?" "Hard to say, but with a belly that big, it has to be soon." Just as I finished speaking, Lucky let out a sharp whimper. Martha and I looked at each other. We both realized labor might be starting. "We need to make a warm place for her. Right now." Martha stood up suddenly, forgetting her arthritis pain, and headed straight for the linen closet. "Martha, careful, don't fall," I called out, chasing after her. She was pulling out old blankets and towels. "We have to make sure she feels safe to deliver," she said. Seeing her like that made my chest feel hot. Usually, Martha worried about our budget, but facing Lucky, her maternal instincts had taken over. Together, we made a cozy nest in the corner of the living room. Lucky sniffed it cautiously, then slowly lay down. Her expression was one of pure relief. She had finally found a sanctuary. "Bob, what should we feed her?" Martha asked. "Maybe some warm rice with broth? Just something easy on the stomach." Martha brought a bowl of warm rice and beef broth. Lucky ate slowly and carefully. "She has such good manners." Martha smiled, watching her with satisfaction. "Is her name really Lucky?" "Yeah, I figure she brought luck to us by leading us to her." Martha tested the name. "Lucky." The dog lifted her head. "Oh, she knows it." Martha laughed. How long had it been since I heard Martha laugh like that? Since her arthritis worsened, genuine smiles had been rare. During dinner, which ended up being soup and bread, our conversation was all about Lucky. How many puppies? What colors? Should we call the vet? Usually, we ate in silence watching the news. Today, the conversation never stopped. Lucky finished eating and rested in her nest, occasionally licking her belly or shifting position. "Bob, what if she starts delivering tonight?" Martha asked anxiously. "Then we help her. I'll check on her during the night." Before bed, we checked on Lucky. She was sleeping soundly, her coat now dry and fluffy. But something seemed different about the atmosphere. "Martha, today was fun, thanks to Lucky," I said. "Yes, it was," she replied. "And Bob, it's strange. While I was petting her head, my wrists didn't hurt as much. The throbbing just stopped." I was surprised. "Really?" "Yes, usually, moving them is agony, but tonight, I feel good." At that moment, Lucky lifted her head and looked at us in the moonlight. Her eyes seemed mysterious, as if telling us not to worry. I thought it was just a coincidence. But considering what happened days later, perhaps the miracle had already begun. That night, we slept better than we had in years. The warmth Lucky brought to the house seemed to invite a deep, peaceful slumber. Around 4 a.m., I woke up, not to an alarm, but to a sound, a soft, rhythmic whining. I went to the living room. Lucky was pacing, standing up and sitting down. She was shivering, her breathing shallow. Labor had begun. "Martha, wake up, the puppies are coming." Martha flew out of bed. "Is it time?" She rushed to the living room. Lucky looked at us with fear. It was likely her first time. "It's okay, Lucky, we're here," I soothed, stroking her back. She seemed to calm down at my touch. Martha brought warm water and clean towels. "Bob, have you ever seen a dog give birth?" "I grew up on a farm. Remember? I saw our barn cat and the old hound give birth. Don't worry, nature knows what to do." But honestly, I was nervous too. The contractions grew stronger. Lucky panted, straining. About an hour later, the first tiny life slid into the world. "Oh," Martha gasped, "a small puppy, wrapped in a membrane." Lucky instinctively licked the sack open and began cleaning the pup. "Amazing," I whispered. Seeing life begin right in front of me brought tears to my eyes. After a short rest, Lucky began pushing again. The second, the third, they came one after another. All healthy. "Bob, look at them, they are precious." Martha beamed, and then I noticed, Martha was moving quickly, kneeling and standing without a grimace. "Martha, are your knees okay?" "Me? That's the strange thing, I don't feel any pain today." "Not a bit." It was bizarre. Yesterday she said the same thing. But this morning it was undeniable. Usually, her joints were stiff as boards in the morning. Fourth, fifth, Lucky was exhausted but kept cleaning her babies. Her strength moved me. After the sixth puppy, she rested for a long time. "Is that it?" Martha asked, but looking at Lucky's belly. There was clearly one left. A while later, the seventh and final puppy was born. But this one was significantly smaller than the rest. Lucky licked him with extra intensity. "You did good, girl," I said, stroking Lucky's head. She looked back with tired, grateful eyes. 7 puppies were now crawling blindly, seeking milk. The sight left us stunned. "Bob, is this really happening in our house?" Martha asked, disbelieving. "It feels like a dream." "Lucky needs names for them," I said. Lucky wagged her tail weakly. "Let's number them 1 through 6 for now," Martha suggested practically. "But the little one, the 7th one, let's call him Star." When the puppies were full and sleeping, Lucky finally rested her head. "What do we do now?" I asked. "First, we help Lucky raise them," Martha replied firmly. But the real miracles started that afternoon. Our neighbor, Mrs. Robinson, came by. "I heard puppy sounds. Did you get a dog, Bob?" When she saw Lucky and the litter, she melted. "Oh, how adorable." She stayed for an hour. An hour after she left, the phone rang. "Bob, it's Mrs. Robinson. You won't believe this. My chronic back pain, it's gone. I've had a herniated disc for 3 years. But after seeing those puppies, I got home and the pain just vanished." I felt a chill. First Martha's arthritis, now Mrs. Robinson's back. Was it possible that Lucky and her puppies had some kind of power? I dismissed it as a coincidence. But the next day shattered that skepticism. Early the next morning, the mayor dropped by. It's a small town. Everyone knows everyone. "Bob, is it true? A stray had 7 pups?" "Yes, Mayor, born yesterday." "Let me see, we could use some good news in this town." The mayor looked at him and sighed happily. "Wonderful, truly wonderful." Less than an hour after he left, he called, "Bob, my knees, I haven't been able to climb stairs without wincing for a decade. They feel brand new." It wasn't a coincidence anymore. That afternoon, the couple who owned the local hardware store came. They looked at the puppies with tears in their eyes. "We've been trying to have a baby for years," the wife whispered, stroking a puppy. "Just looking at them gives me hope." That evening, she called, sobbing, "Bob, the doctor called. I'm pregnant. We gave up hope years ago. But I just know, it was the puppies." By the next morning, the street in front of our house was crowded. Rumors of the miracle puppies had spread. "Bob, let my grandson see them. I heard there's a magic dog here." I was overwhelmed, but I couldn't turn them away. Quietly, and only for a moment, I told the crowd. The changes in the visitors were undeniable. A 5-year-old boy named Timmy, who was non-verbal autistic, suddenly pointed and said, "Doggy." His mother collapsed in tears. A farmer named Joe said his insomnia was cured. People came from the next county. "My father had a stroke, can you help?" Every day, a line formed, but it wasn't all good. Lucky was getting stressed. Bob, Lucky is nervous, Martha said. And Star, he's weak. The runt, Star, was coughing. The vet said his lungs were undeveloped. But we couldn't stop. People were desperate. A man drove all the way from Seattle. My daughter has leukemia. Please, how could I say no? But then, the crisis hit. A week later, a young man with a camera showed up. I'm a blogger. Can I write about the miracle dogs? We agreed, thinking it might help more people. But when the article went viral, chaos ensued. People swarmed our quiet street. Cars blocked the road. Neighbors complained. And then, on the third day of the chaos, a man appeared. He was in his 40s, looking slick and untrustworthy. Those dogs are mine, he announced. Excuse me? I asked. He flashed a phone screen. Here's the proof. That's my Border Collie. She ran off a month ago. The photo showed a dog that looked like Lucky. But Lucky's reaction was telling. Usually gentle, she growled at him, baring her teeth. You forgot your master? The man sneered. I'm taking them back, especially the puppies. They're worth a fortune. Wait, Martha stepped in. Do you have papers? You can't just take them. And we heard you want to sell them? Of course, it's a business, and I hear you're making money off them too. I saw red. We haven't taken a single dime. Then why the crowd? Anyway, the law is on my side. I'm the owner. The mayor showed up then. What's going on? The man glared. Just taking my property. That night, nasty comments appeared online. Old couple scams town with fake miracle dogs. Animal abusers. It was clearly the man. We were devastated. Martha cried all night. The next morning, a van from animal control pulled up. 2 officers in uniform stepped out. We received complaints of an unlicensed breeding operation and animal hoarding. One said. That's a lie, Martha cried. We have a warrant to seize the animals for their safety. They seem stressed. No, they are family, I shouted. Sir, step aside, or we will involve the sheriff. We will be back in 48 hours with a transport truck. Have them ready. They left us with an ultimatum. That night, Bob and Martha couldn't sleep. Lucky paced, sensing the danger. She nudged her puppies toward the back door. She knew. Bob, did we make a mistake? Martha asked. No, but we can't stay here. I made a decision. Martha, pack a bag. We're leaving. Where? Up the mountain, to old Jack's cabin. Jack was an old army buddy of mine, a retired ranger who lived off the grid in a cabin high in the Cascades. The trail is steep. Bob, can Lucky make it? She has to. At 4 a.m., we loaded a large basket with the puppies. I carried the basket, and Martha carried supplies. Lucky, sensing the urgency, walked beside us, occasionally carrying a puppy in her mouth to help. The hike, usually an hour, took us 3. Lucky was exhausted, her postpartum body weak. But she had the heart of a lion. She wouldn't give up on her babies. We reached the cabin. Jack opened the door, shotgun in hand, then lowered it. Bob, what the hell? We explained everything. Jack, a man of few words, nodded. Stay, as long as you need. The shed out back is heated. But the mountain air was thin and cold. Star's coughing got worse. He's burning up, Martha whispered, holding the tiny puppy. We were miles from a vet, hiding from the law. Lucky licked Star frantically, trying to transfer her life force to him. Meanwhile, Jack went down to town for supplies and brought back news. The town is in an uproar. The people you helped, they are looking for you. Not to hurt you, but they are angry at the scammer and the animal control. Days later, tragedy struck. Star stopped moving. Lucky let out a howl that echoed through the pines. Star, the little fighter, passed away in my hands. We buried him in a grove of aspen trees behind the cabin. Jack helped us dig. It was a small, humble grave. Lucky sat there for hours. That night, sitting by the wood stove, Martha spoke. Bob, years ago, right after we married, I had a miscarriage. I froze. What? I never told you. You were so stressed with the railroad. I didn't want to break your heart. Tears streamed down her face. 50 years she had held that pain. Martha, I took her hand. I have a secret too. That year, I almost derailed a train. I fell asleep for a second. I stopped it just in time. But the guilt, I've carried it every day. We held each other and wept. Star's death had unlocked the doors to our hearts. We finally shared the burdens we had carried alone. Lucky rested her head on my knee, as if she knew this healing was necessary. A week later, Jack came back up the mountain, grinning. Pack your bags, Bob, you're going home. Is it safe? Better than safe. That guy, the owner, he was a fraud. The police found he downloaded that photo from a stock image site. He's wanted in 3 states for scams. He's in jail. And animal control? Wait till you see. We hiked down. When we reached our street, I stopped. The entire neighborhood was there. Welcome home, Bob. Welcome home, Lucky. The mayor stepped forward. We started a petition. 5,000 signatures. This town protects its own. The dad of the leukemia girl stepped up. My daughter, her counts are up. She's smiling again. I wrote a blog post about the truth, about how you didn't take a penny. The internet is on your side now. Animal control apologized publicly. They dropped all charges. Our house was filled with gifts, dog food, toys, letters. Lucky lay in her old spot, relieved. That night, a producer from PBS knocked. We want to do a documentary, a real one, about the bond between humans and animals. We agreed, on one condition: tell Star's story too. The documentary changed everything. People didn't come for magic anymore, they came to see love in action. We found homes for the puppies. We vetted them strictly. The hardware store couple took puppy one. The leukemia girl's family took another. But we kept one, a male. We named him Hope. 6 months have passed. Martha's arthritis is manageable. She walks 5 miles a day with Lucky and Hope. I feel 20 years younger. The town is closer than ever. The leukemia patient is in remission, maybe not a medical miracle caused by a dog. But the miracle of hope she gave him certainly helped. The real miracle wasn't magic healing. It was love. Lucky taught us to love, to share, and to protect. She healed the rift between Martha and me. Just yesterday, Lucky stood at the door, staring at the blue sky. Hope stood next to her. Do you think Star is watching? Martha asked. I know he is. Lucky wagged her tail at the empty air. And I knew everything was exactly as it should be. If you ever see a stray in the rain, don't turn away. Open your heart. You never know what miracle is waiting to walk through your door.